Hey guys, this is a case that came in today from Carl, and I think it's really cool because it really does a nice job of highlighting how the software can be used in a conversation with a client to show the value of your advice. In this case, Carl actually thought there was an error, and I'll show you why in a second. But the actual software is working properly, and this is the situation. I'm just on the Analyze page. And this is just the client's current debt situation, the creditors they have, the loan amounts. And right off I can see that they have about $506,000 in debt. They have a pre-tax rate of around 8%, about a 6.5 after tax. They're paying $45.46 a month to service all this debt with some tax relief here. Now, very important, what I want to point out here is the number of payments remaining on each individual debt. We've got 30 years on the mortgage, 43 on this credit card, 34 on this credit card. We'll skip this, 121 on this, and then 103 on this one. This one is blank. If you ever see something that's blank, it means it's interest only or negative amortizing, meaning that the debt itself is not being supported. It can't be paid off. And we can look at this and see that on $50,973 at 18%, the client's paying $351 a month. So let me just bring this up for 1 second. So 50973 times 0.18 equals, so there's 9,174 in interest yearly divided by 12. That's 764. That's the monthly interest on this. He's paying 351. So this thing is negatively impacting 413 a month. Okay, that's why you're seeing this blanked out here. Now, Carl obviously can't do anything for him from a lending perspective. He's shrunk up all of the lending options, so he's looking to just simply help this client from a repayment strategy look at the financial impact of his current situation. So where Carl thought there might be an error here is just the size of the numbers, all right, and he had it out at 30 years, which was the time frame for the mortgage and for all the debt, and he saw this. And he saw that this client had a negative $6.8 million negative impact and thought there must be an error here possibly in the software. Well, we can see the principal and interest that's being paid. At this rate, he'll pay $454 in principal and $569 in interest. Okay, but you can see the remaining balance on the liabilities is $5.8 million. Now, it's unlikely that would happen, but based on the current payment strategy and the current numbers, that's what's going to happen. This green line here, okay, is that revolving debt that we can see is compounding up. So to make that easier to see, I'm going to take this back to 22 years, okay? And now what you can see is you can see the total liabilities. Instead of going this way, you see the mortgage? This is the blue line. It's being paid off. All the other liabilities are being paid off, just like we had predicted that they would, but this one liability here is going parabolic. It's going exponential because of the compounding interest. Now, if you go to 22-year time frame, you can see this is a smaller number. It's 2.3 million over that time period. But look at the scenario. Because we're doing a repay-only scenario, because we're not looking at any mortgage, he can come down and click snowball highest interest rate first, and he can show that this client would be debt-free of all of those debts in 21 years, 5 months. That would save him $1.344 million in interest over that time period. And remember, all we're doing is applying the current cash flow today that he has available. This net after tax of $36.86 is being applied to the same debts here. It's just each time one debt's paid off, it's going to apply that credit towards the next debt. Now notice, all the other debts, remember, were being paid off. Look at the revolving debt up here. It's gone exponential because there's not enough cash to support it. Notice the little dents. When I say a dent, see it's still negatively amortizing till about this third year, and then it starts to flatten out and go this way. And notice what happens here. This last big credit card debt is paid off right here. Notice the dent. At this point, all these other liabilities, okay, have been paid off, and they can be applied towards this remaining debt to get this thing taken care of. At this point, after this is paid off, notice that the mortgage here goes into a very fast decline, and you're able to be completely debt-free and out of debt in 21 years, 5 months. That's a $1.344 million difference. So again, very powerful way to have this conversation. Would this person who's in this situation benefit from a coaching program for $297 a month, where you're going to help him go through and make sure that he does what he needs to do, plus look at his overall money and spending habits? I think it's very, very likely Carl could walk away with a $1,700 income over the next 6 months working with his client, and possibly generate a lot of new opportunities through that as well. But the request came in to say, hey, what's wrong with this? All right, which is a valid question. I looked at it and said, hey, something is wrong. We must have a problem with the math. But then as I started going through and looking at it and sliding it around, I realized right off the bat that the problem right here was in this particular gap where you have something that's negatively amortizing. So hopefully this is helpful to everybody, because I'm just going to share this with the group.